Imagine waking up one morning to headlines screaming, "New era begins for the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg is here." The number one pick, the 6'9" defensive monster wing, the once-in-a-decade combination of size, versatility, and height. You expect electric drives to the rim, pull-up threes falling like rain, late-game heroics with the game on the line. But what you get begins to look different. Mid-range pull-ups that feel forced, drives telegraphed, decision-making that falters in crunch time, the shot clock winding down, the ball in his hands, and the shot that doesn't come close. Today we're going to tell the story of why, despite all the tools and the pre-draft fanfare, Cooper Flagg on the Dallas Mavericks might not become the superstar many expect. In fact, why he could disappoint. We'll explore what basketball analysts are cautioning about: inconsistent shooting, limited creation off the dribble, shaky late-game decision-making, and how that adds up. So if you're a Mavericks fan or a draft watcher, buckle up, because the climb to star status isn't just about potential, it's about translating it. And the gap between being very good and being great can be wider than you think. Here's the core. Flagg has elite physical tools and defensive versatility, yet the concern is this: his offensive game has significant structural weaknesses, inconsistent three-point shooting, a handle that struggles to consistently create his own shot, and a late-game profile that lacks proven go-to execution. If he fails to fix those, he will remain a high-level complementary player rather than a franchise cornerstone. That outcome would feel like a disappointment given his draft position and expectations. Let's begin with what made Flagg such an alluring prospect and why that height matters. Because it raises the bar against which he'll be judged. At 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, he logged averages of 19.2 points, 7.5 boards, and 4.2 assists as a freshman at Duke University. He was lauded as one of the best prospects of the decade. Analysts pointed to his two-way potential, his passing vision, his on-ball and help defense as differentiators. And yet, even in that glowing buildup, there were warnings. From his scouting report, isolation efficiency is below average, 0.511 PPS on isolation plays. Also, ball handling needs refinement, limited wiggle and burst compared to elite creators. In short, the foundation is real, but the concerns already existed. If those flaws are magnified in the NBA, the gap between expectation and reality will widen fast. One of the first issues, the modern NBA values three-point shooting heavily. For a wing expected to be a focal offensive option, the ability to hit threes, especially off the catch and off the dribble, is essential. Flagg shot 38.5% from three in college. On the surface, that seems solid, but drill deeper. He had a mid-season slump where he was just 22% from three. Further, some scouting notes suggest his shooting is not yet consistent enough when the volume rises or the defense pressures him. Next, how about his shot selection? Scouting commentary flags that his half-court offense can get stagnant, and he sometimes forces bad looks when the play breaks down. Some fans also worry about his reliance on the mid-range pull-up rather than clean rhythm threes. Quote, "Not very impressed with his self-creation game. Just don't see a lot in his bag," one Reddit user posted. In the NBA, if a player isn't space efficient, if defenses don't respect your three-point shot, they can sag off, clog drives, and force you into contested mid-range pull-ups where efficiency drops. If Flagg's three-point shooting remains inconsistent, defenses will decline to respect him from deep, but his overall offensive ceiling may be capped. Moreover, mid-range pull-ups, while serviceable, are harder to build a dominant opponent schematic around. Fewer possession advantages compared to first-option threes or drives. The combination of inconsistent three-point shooting plus questionable shot selection means his offensive upside may be lower than the hype suggests. Here's another major worry. Flagg is not yet an elite creator. Let's unpack. The scouting report states, quote, "His handle is solid for his size, but not elite. He struggles to break down defenders in isolation. Developing as a shot creator will determine whether he can evolve from a complementary scorer to a primary offensive hub." Another analyst wrote, "The majority of his turnovers result from his loose handle. Defenses who pressure Flagg often pluck the ball from him." But note the ambiguity. Improvement is possible, but the fact those questions are still live in people's minds is meaningful. If you're a franchise expecting a number one option, you want someone who can create, not just catch and shoot. You want someone who can break down a defender, make something happen when the play isn't perfect, generate offense in isolation or pick and roll. In that category, Flagg is not yet among the elite. The scouting report says his isolation efficiency is below average. So the issue, if Flagg cannot evolve into a reliable shot creator, his role may be limited to off-ball movement, spot-up shooting, cuts, and secondary creation. Good, but maybe not elite. And when you're drafted number one, that margin between good and great is critical. One of the most telling criticisms, what happens when the game is on the line? Analysts spotted that in pressure situations, Flagg's decision-making and shot creation are tested. For example, turnovers are an issue. Decision-making under pressure, especially in late-game situations, cost Duke in close losses. Another note, in final 3-minute situations within 5 points, Flagg's shooting dips to 39%. These are red flags for a player expected to close games. As a number one pick, you're assumed to eventually be your team's go-to option in must-win moments. If your past shows you struggle under duress, telegraphing drives, turning the ball over, taking tough shots late, that ability to become the safe choice is undermined. The will he be trusted to close the game question looms, and if he's unable to answer it, then his growth into that franchise cornerstone role slows. Beyond numbers, some observations on how Flagg plays, style matters. One scouting piece noted that while his handle is improving, too often he takes rounded angles to the basket. The issue, if you see a player with a preferred drive direction, say going left, or repeated mid-range pull-ups as his comfortable shot, opposing defenses can exploit that. If a player can't diversify his creation or doesn't have a consistent three-point threat, then habitually pulled up shots from mid-range or drives into help become inefficient. Modern defenses are built to punish that. In Flagg's case, the concern is his offense may rely too much on tough pull-up jumpers, particularly from the mid-range. That style is serviceable, but if it becomes predominant rather than occasional, you're limiting your ceiling. One analyst noted, "I don't see him becoming a dominant offensive player. He doesn't seem to have the bag or the shot creation that translates well to the next level." Former NBA star Carmelo Anthony said, "He doesn't do anything great. He lacks a go-to play." This kind of commentary matters because the perception of can he run a franchise offense or can he be the guy who takes over games will influence both his role and mindset. When skepticism exists already, especially about his decision-making and situational dominance, it means the margin for error is smaller. If he were simply a role player, those concerns would matter less. But at the number one pick level, being a true first option means you must answer those questions positively and fast. And right now, he has to prove it. If his three-point shooting remains inconsistent or under volume, defenses won't respect his perimeter threat. He drives into crowded lanes, pull-up mid-range becomes default, lower efficiency. If his handle creation doesn't evolve to elite levels, he'll remain more of a complementary scoring option rather than a create for others and self-hub. If late game decision-making, shot creation, and turnovers continue to hover as weaknesses, coaches and teammates may hesitate to rely on him in crunch time, limiting his go-to status. With all that, rather than becoming a 25-plus point per game franchise stalwart, he might settle into becoming a 15 to 18.7 rebounds, 4 to 5 assist type. Very good, even all-star caliber, but not